As the golem charged at Rayo with frightening speed, the ground shook beneath its massive weight. Rayo barely managed to dodge, rolling to the side and firing a fireball at its back. The spell struck true, leaving a scorch mark on the golem's steel-like body, but the damage was minimal. The creature roared, its glowing eyes locking onto Rayo as it spun around, transitioning into a devastating spin attack. The golem's massive arms swung wildly, tearing through the dungeon walls and sending debris flying in all directions. Rayo dodged again, but the golem adjusted its trajectory, continuing to pursue him with relentless fury. Rayo's mind raced as he fired spell after spell, each one barely slowing the creature down. Then, an idea struck him: he could use the golem's own momentum against it. Creating some distance, Rayo unleashed a barrage of fireballs, not at the golem directly, but at the ground around it. The explosions destabilized the floor, causing the golem to lose its balance and stumble. The creature roared in frustration, its movements growing sluggish as it struggled to regain its footing. Seizing the opportunity, Rayo continued to dodge its attacks, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The golem, now visibly weakened, broke off one of the spiked pillars from the ground and swung it violently at Rayo. The attacks were slower now, and Rayo managed to evade them with relative ease. Finally, Rayo decided to end the fight. He created more distance and unleashed a final barrage of fireballs, each one striking the golem with precision. The creature let out a final, deafening roar before collapsing into a pile of rubble. As the dust settled, Rayo noticed something glinting among the debris: a sword. He approached cautiously, picking it up and examining it. The blade was sleek and well-crafted, but Rayo frowned. A sword. I'm a mage. Mages don't use swords. Still, he thought it might be worth something, so he decided to carry it with him. After resting briefly on the 5th floor, Rayo continued his ascent through the dungeon. The floors grew progressively more challenging, but Rayo's determination never wavered. On the 9th floor, he encountered a pack of blood wolves, ferocious, crimson-eyed beasts known for their aggression and pack tactics. The sight of them brought back painful memories of his encounter with the wolves in the wilderness, and a surge of anger welled up inside him. Rayo's tiredness evaporated as an evil grin spread across his face. This is payback, he thought. Without hesitation, he lunged at the wolves, his movements fueled by rage. Using his air magic, he disrupted their footing, sending several of them tumbling to the ground. He followed up with a binding spell, immobilizing some of the wolves while others circled him, preparing to attack. Rayo's instincts kicked in as he used his air magic to propel himself backward, causing the wolves to collide with each other. Seizing the opportunity, he unleashed a barrage of fireballs, each one exploding with enough force to obliterate the pack. The room fell silent, the only sound the crackling of flames and Rayo's heavy breathing. Satisfied, he pressed on, the adrenaline still coursing through his veins. Reaching the 10th floor, Rayo paused at the entrance to the boss chamber. He could feel the icy chill emanating from within, and he knew the final challenge awaited him. Realizing he was too pumped up from the previous fights, he took a moment to calm himself, sitting by the door and steadying his breathing. When he felt ready, he stepped inside. The boss chamber was freezing cold, the walls coated in thick layers of ice. In the center of the room stood the boss, an ice phantom, a creature Rayo had read about in books. Before he could fully assess the danger, the doors slammed shut behind him, sealing him inside. No escaping now, he thought grimly. The phantom rose from its icy throne, its translucent form shimmering with an otherworldly glow. Rayo immediately went on the offensive, firing a barrage of fireballs at the creature. But the phantom countered with a volley of ice spears, crashing into the fireballs and forcing Rayo to dodge and weave through the attacks. As he circled the room, he thought the phantom might be weak to fire, but the creature seemed to anticipate his moves, phasing through his attacks and striking back with precision. One ice spear grazed Rayo's side, drawing blood and forcing him to rethink his strategy. Rayo continued to attack and dodge, but the Phantom's ability to phase through his spells made the fight increasingly difficult. Then, he noticed something: the Phantom couldn't maintain its ghostly form while attacking. Adjusting his strategy, Rayo began firing fireballs to force the Phantom to phase, then using his air bullets, weaker but faster, to strike when it materialized. The air bullets landed with precision, gradually weakening the creature. Enraged, the Phantom let out a ghostly scream and landed on the ground, summoning shadowy monsters from its icy aura. Rio's eyes widened as the monsters emerged, but he didn't hesitate. "No, you don't," he shouted, unleashing a flurry of fireballs to take out some of the creatures while using his binding spell to pin the Phantom down. The remaining monsters lunged at him, but Rayo charged through them, taking damage as he broke through their ranks. In a moment of instinct, he drew the sword he had obtained from the golem and channeled his flames into the blade. With a roar, Rayo plunged the flaming sword into the Ice Phantom's core. The creature lashed out, knocking him back with a powerful blow, but it was too late. The Phantom screamed in agony as the flames consumed it, its form dissolving into nothingness. Rayo, blood running down his face, managed a triumphant smile. "Got you," he whispered. As the Phantom dissolved, a ring materialized in its place. Rayo, using all his strength to get up, picked it up and inspected it curiously, but he had no idea what it did. "Great," he muttered. "No manual." He then noticed a treasure chest in the corner of the room. Inside, he found a small pile of gold coins, another sword, and an egg. The sword was beautifully crafted, and Rayo couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. "Maybe I'll start practicing with one," he thought, remembering how satisfying it had felt to wield the golem's sword. The egg, however, was a mystery. It was smooth and cold to the touch, with faint blue patterns swirling across its surface. Rayo wondered what could be inside, or if it was even edible. Deciding to take it with him, he packed the gold, the sword, and the egg into his bag and made his way out of the dungeon. As he exited, the structure began to crumble behind him, collapsing into the earth as if it had served its purpose. Back at his makeshift home in the wilderness, Rayo treated his wounds and resumed his training. He began practicing with the sword, combining it with his magic to create a unique fighting style. Months passed, and Rayo grew stronger, his skills sharper than ever. One late night, as Rayo cooked a rabbit over a fire, he noticed the egg he had taken from the dungeon shaking. Curious, he approached it, only for the egg to crack open as something small and furry lunged out at him. Rayo caught it instinctively, his eyes widening as he realized it was a puppy. The little creature wagged its tail and barked happily, its white fur shimmering with a faint blue tint around its neck. Rayo couldn't help but smile. "You're no ordinary pup, are you?" he said, setting the puppy down. The little creature ran around him, full of energy and joy. Rayo knelt down and petted it, its soft fur warm against his hand. "I'll call you Friend," he said, and the puppy barked in approval, as if it loved the name. That night, Rayo and Friend shared a hearty meal, the bond between them already beginning to form. As the fire crackled and the stars shone overhead, Rayo felt a sense of peace he hadn't known in years. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't alone.